The second round is kicking into high gear, and we're here to dive right in. Who's got one foot in the conference final, and who's poised to come from behind? Live from downtown Toronto, it's the BarDown podcast. At dawn. Is that what we decided? At dawn?
I think so. At dawn. BarDawn. I think someone commented BarDawn podcast, which was kind of a nice pun, which we're very into.
Yeah.
See the ticker today.
Not today. We're not BarDawn.
Yeah, I guess it's a little later, but yeah.
Did our best.
Did our best, as we always do. How are you guys?
I'm a little nervous. You?
You just came back from a nice trip in Austria.
I did, man. I did. Yeah, it was great. With Rizky over here, who's actually switching the show right now. Went to Innsbruck, Austria. Shout out to the World Hockey Championships. Not the one that's happening in Stockholm right now and Denmark, but the one that took place in Austria. It's a global youth hockey tournament. We're going to have a video coming out about that in the next couple weeks. Or actually, no. It'll come out eventually. But it was fun.
Well, it's good to have the team back here. Z is not here for this one, so I'm kind of filling in for him. But a lot to get to today. And I guess the purpose of this one is we want to regroup on every series and come up with a reason why each of these teams, even the ones down 3-1, can still win the Stanley Cup. So as we go through each series here and break them down, we're going to ask you guys why you think each team in that series can still win the Stanley Cup. And let's start with the Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights. Edmonton shutting out Vegas last night to go up 3-1 in that series, a 3-0 win, pretty convincing. Vegas, quite frankly, kind of lucky that this series isn't over at this point. Got some luck to get it to this point. And now Edmonton's got 3 shots to make it to the conference final in back-to-back years. General thoughts on this series? Has it gone the way that you have kind of expected now through 4 games? I feel like the sample size is big enough. Or the Oilers just too good offensively for this Vegas team that relies on their defense to handle right now?
First of all, I think maybe a ceremonial round of applause for Stuart Skinner is due. And it's unfortunate because he was 0-2, and then, Calvin Pickard comes in, rips off 6 wins in a row, goes down, they go back to Skinner, and they just lose. In, like you said, kind of unlucky. They blew a 2-goal lead. Mm-hmm. They tie it late, and then Leon Draisaitl was one of the unluckiest tips in his own net with a second left. And when that happened, it just feels like, man, can they just not win with Stuart Skinner? No matter how he plays, they're just not finding a way to win with him. He goes out last night. There's so much noise around him at home again. One of the biggest games so far that he's had this season, and he gets a shutout. So that was great to see. But what's really impressed me the most in this series is, yeah, sure, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard, they're the 3-point leaders for the Oilers, but the depth scoring that this team has had has been phenomenal. That line last night with Connor Brown, Henrique, Evander Kane, even Zach Hyman was just getting in the corners. They were getting in Aiden Hill's face. I'm loving what I'm seeing with this team. It feels like they're deep. They're getting scoring from everyone. And then, of course, McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to do their thing too. So, yeah, and Vegas just feels like they don't have a whole lot going for them right now.
Yeah, what has the issue always been with the Oilers when we've talked about them in past years? Their depth.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they just haven't had it. And this year they are getting the depth scoring. And I don't know. I thought Vegas didn't look that great against Minnesota in the opening round. And Aiden Hill's been kind of getting lit up, and they were in his face last night. It was amazing. That was potentially the best period of hockey, or one of the best periods of hockey we've seen in the playoffs so far. It was incredible. I don't know. Vegas hasn't looked that impressive. And props to the Oilers, obviously, who have looked amazing. They're actually looking like there's a good chance they're going to win the Stanley Cup. But I don't know. Vegas seems a little meh. It don't really seem like they have it this year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's their stars, because I think in moments Jack Eichel has looked very good throughout the playoffs. But maybe the consistency necessarily hasn't been there. I think that first round when we saw what Kaprizov and Boldy, they kind of just had their way with Vegas. I know they ultimately lost the series, but maybe that was a sign of things to come where, if those 2 players could do that, and those are 2 very elite players, but now you're going up against McDavid and Draisaitl, and plus more, because like we both said, the Oilers are getting scoring down the lineup. It's great to see. Adam Henrique, that second goal from him yesterday in between the legs was awesome. And then the fact that
Evander Kane was nuts yesterday.
Complete brawl
he was
starts
incredible.
out after it was. Yeah, it was something to see. So great to see the Oilers get one at home.
They're looking scary.
Yeah.
They're looking real scary. They're almost looking unstoppable.
A lot of credit to the coaching as well. They completely changed up their lines from game 3 that they lost to game 4 that they won, splitting up McDavid and Draisaitl, who have been so good this postseason together, but splitting them up, getting Hyman back with McDavid, splitting up that third line that was so good for them, and Connor Brown, Henrique, and Frederick, and moving Kane on that line. So every button that was pressed last night, coaching-wise, adjustments-wise, really worked out for them. I guess, like we said, one reason why each team can win the cup. There are still questions about Edmonton. I think if you look at goaltending, like we got one good Stuart Skinner game, but it's just as easily conceivable that the next 2 he kind of implodes and we could be looking at a game 7. Like it's just as easy to see that. But from standpoints of both teams, one reason why.
I'm going to say the versatility of Edmonton. You referenced the lineup changes. Like Corey Perry was playing on the top line with McDavid and Draisaitl. He moves down to line 4 yesterday. What other team is doing that, where they've got a guy who's dropping from line 1 to line 4? He's a 40-year-old goal scorer, I guess.
I know. He's been one of their most productive players, too.
Yeah.
And that was just in response to one loss. It's not like they've been losing a bunch.
So that's it for me. They can beat you in so many different ways. It feels right now from Edmonton. And when Bouchard is going offensively, and also Bouchard was under so much fire after games 1 and 2 against LA. I think he's been quite steady since then on the back end.
They don't even have Ekholm, and they're doing this today, I guess, which is nuts. I'm gonna just say Oilers depth. I think the Oilers, we haven't really seen their depth be this productive in the past. I think getting Evander Kane in the lineup is so big for them. He adds like a really nice spark to the lineup. Like Hyman, Corey Perry still doing his thing. Like he's been incredible. This series alone, I think he has 3 goals and an assist. So yeah, that's what I'd say for the Oilers. For Vegas, what are we thinking for a reason? I don't know. It's like I feel like they are really good defensively, but I don't know. They've just been getting shelled.
I think if they're going to flip the script, which, like you said, they're down 3-1, it's a tough hold to get out of, especially against Edmonton. But let's not forget that this is a team that's won a Stanley Cup. They've got a lot of experience. They've got great coaching. It's going to come on the defensive side for me. I don't think they're going to necessarily go out and outscore Edmonton, but they've got a ton of big physical D that can wear you down. And who knows, you get 1-2-1 win at home, you frustrate the Oilers, and the series can easily flip if you get some defensive momentum going. So that's what I want to see from Vegas, and that's my belief that I have for them to go on and actually win the cup.
They need Aiden Hill to be a little better too. They need him to just like steal one at home here.
Goaltending problems for both teams, I think, to say the least. Let's move on to the Jets and Stars this series. Currently 2-1 for the Dallas Stars going into Game 4. The Jets haven't won a road playoff game yet this postseason,
Don't remind me.
which makes it tough because Dallas has got home ice now and having pulled off that Game 1 win. This series has been good Connor Hellebuck, I feel like, for stretches. Game 2 he was excellent, and bad Connor Hellebuck, and I really just think that's kind of been the story of the Jets postseason so far, is his inability to play at that Vezina level consistently. I've seen some people be like, hey, do you just take him out for a game and try and send a message to your team, get his confidence back? Like, I don't know what the right answer is here, but he is their best player, and he has not showed up like that at all this postseason yet.
I'll start this one off. You know what the weird thing about this series to me is, and this is no disrespect at all, like I think the Dallas Stars are a great team. From what I've seen so far, I actually think that the Blues kind of were a bit of a tougher opponent for the Jets in their series. Blues had big guys getting in front of Hellebuck, really tough to play against, imposing. I don't really feel like the Stars are that dominant of a team. I actually think the Jets have been playing pretty well throughout the series. I thought we got absolutely dogged on that kicking motion call last game. I still don't understand why.
Kind of disagree with that one,
Okay, but like if you look at the rules, if a puck is kicked, even if it deflects off of the goalie, if he tries to make a play, like the rule book says, it shouldn't be a
But
goal.
it wasn't going on net at all.
What?
It wasn't going on net.
Okay,
at all.
but if
that's
the-
where
but-
I see
but-
like Helly put that in his own net.
But the puck was kicked towards Helly, and Helly made a play to try to save it, to make a save.
So if you kick the puck from the red line into the corner and Hellebuck goes and just rips it in his own net. Like, I know that's
No,
like the
that's
most
totally
ultimate
different. That's
extreme,
totally
but I think
different.
what the
That's
ref
totally
saw was just like,
different.
oh, Hellebuck put this in his own net. That puck wasn't even going
But
on net.
he made a play to actually save the puck from going in, and it just like tipped off of him. Like if the puck wasn't like if it's not kicked at all, or I mean I don't know. I just feel like
It's definitely a gray area. Like, it's not as cut and dry. Like, the example I gave is totally ridiculous. Like, that's not what happened. But the way I'm sort of framing it in my head was like, Hellebuck directed that puck in his own end.
okay,
Anyways,
no, but
we're getting off topic.
But why was the puck kicked towards the end in the first place? To like create a scoring chance to try to score. I just think it's ridiculous that anyways, it was a little unclear. There's two ways of looking at it, obviously, but yeah, the bottom line is Hellebuck needs to be better on the road. Like he's been just abysmal on the road. I think he's lost 8 in a row on the road. Dating back to last season, he's been pulled I think in like 4 of those games. He's got a sub 8,300 save percentage, and we just need him to steal one on the road. Like that's just the bottom line. And he last game, even with the kicking goal, he was out of position on some of the goals. He was too far in his. I thought on the Rantanen goal, he was way too far in his net. Rantanen is obviously a moose, but we just need him to do better. I actually think the Jets have been playing pretty well this series. And I think that the series, if Connor Hellebuck can just play a bit better, this series is within reach. I don't think I'm not that. Kudos to Dallas because they keep finding ways to win, especially against good teams. And maybe I'm not trying to discredit them at all because they're obviously good. But I thought St. Louis played the Jets harder from what I've seen so far.
Like, I think we're at the point now where it's the second round. We got the President's Trophy winning Jets, and you got a great team in Dallas. Like, I expect this to be a tough series. But to me, I just need at some point Winnipeg to show me that they can get a tough, hard road win. But you mentioned Dallas. Like, we were talking about the Oilers and how much depth they have. That's one of the strengths of the Stars as well. Jason Robertson's come back from injury. Hasn't really done a whole lot. He's got 0 points so far. Wyatt Johnston, only 1 goal. Like, some of their stars, I think, are off to some slower starts. But the one constant throughout this entire playoffs is no one's been able to slow down Mikko Rantanen. He's got 6 points in 3 games. The next, highest star is 3 points. So he's clearly carrying the mail for this team right now. And it's just like, yeah, I think the Jets, I mean, their top line's been pretty solid. So we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. This one's only 2-1. It's definitely not out of reach. I would be feeling pretty good if I were you at this point. You're still in it.
Yeah, I'm not panicking yet. I think if we go down 3-1, then there's obviously reason to panic. But yeah, I really haven't been that impressed with the Stars' depth. I think that like Rantanen has just been a complete beast. But other than that, like I really haven't been that impressed by the Stars. I think the Jets have actually looked pretty good against them, all things considered. Especially when you like, I think so many people were doubting the Jets in this series. So I expect the Jets to finally get a road win tonight. I think Hellebuck bounces back. But, man, like, he just looks so shaky on the road. It's just puzzling.
I think you need, like, a really strong first period. Can't allow any – like, that Blues series, those road games, it just felt like within the first 5 minutes they were scoring every single game. He just needs some time to settle in.
Dominated against St. Louis.
I think it was 2-0 in the first couple minutes.
Yeah, it was in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we'll see how he does.
One reason each of these teams can win the Stanley Cup. And Winnipeg's reason, I think, was Connor Hellebuck going into the playoffs. I don't know if that is still the reason that they can win the Stanley Cup, given his current form. But if he does play better, it's a pretty obvious one.
I'm going to say Connor Hellebuck still is the reason why the Jets will win the Cup, because I think if the Jets are going to win the Cup, they're going to need him to be his best. And if he's not his best, then they're not going to win the Cup. That's the bottom line. We saw what he's capable of doing in Game 2. He was lights out. If he can get back to that form and just find a way to play like that on the road, then I really think the Jets have a shot at doing it. But kudos to everyone else who's been playing around. I think the Jets have been getting some good contributions from a lot of different players that we've had defensemen stepping up. I think Hayden Fleury has been just fantastic on the back end for the Jets. This was a guy that was getting scratched. Like Colin Miller's stepping in. Players are doing their part for the Jets. It's just we just need the goaltending. But yeah, I'm gonna say for the Jets and obviously for the Stars, it's Rantanen. He's just been out of control. Sorry, Luca, but things just could not have worked out worse for the Avalanche with that one.
Definitely a tough one.
But you know what? It happens. Hindsight's 20/20. I understand the logic, but it's just, it must suck like for the players. I know McKinnon was rattled about it, but like, I don't know if anyone saw Rantanen being this good in the playoffs, but he's been incredible. And if the Stars win, it's going to be because of him. And shout out to Onger too, who's been very good.
Yeah. I think the Stars, for me, I'll start with them. I'm going to just go with their coach, Pete DeBoer, and the ability he's shown to just win these big games. And, of course, they have so many great players. But to me, if they get to a Game 7 and, like, standing in their way right now, it's Winnipeg, it's Edmonton, it's Vegas. Like, these are all really tough teams. So they're going to have to go through 2 of these if they're going to get to the Cup and then a Cup final too. I expect there to be some Game 7s ahead, and it's going to be hard for me to pick against this team in a big moment like that. For Winnipeg, I can't find it in me right now to hold my breath on Connor Hellebuck. Sorry, Jesse. So I'm going to go with their top line, Velarde, Connor, Scheifele. I think they've been very, very good. I still think that they have another level, and I think if they get to that level, they can overcome the difficulties that they've faced in the crease.
I think it's the depth for the Jets that are you kind of know what you're getting out of that first line. It's just kind of the depth that you need to that you want to bank on a little bit.
I don't know if I'm banking on it. That's why I'm just
all
out on this first line. Keep scoring.
You need it, but even when the top line is playing really well, you just need more than that. I don't know. And about the DeBoer thing, I agree. DeBoer's a great coach, but will this be the year he gets it done? We'll see. I don't know. Guy still hasn't won a cup yet.
Dallas's depth definitely a reason why I think they're probably the favorite to win this series now, being up 2-1, I think. But just even if they haven't been scoring, like the Duchesne line, just looking at some of the chance numbers for and against, has been pretty dominant. With doesn't matter if Marchment's on that left wing or if it's Jamie Benn.
Guys should be suspended.
Duchesne and Sagan
should absolutely be suspended.
Duchesne and Sagan has been a dangerous pair, and maybe it's a matter of time before they kind of break out for Dallas. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they have like a big depth performance, just given how deep their lineup is. And it's one of the reasons why it makes them the favorites. Like the Granlund trade was just something that kind of went under the radar for this team, but he's really improved their lineup. And
every year, these teams that just make these early deals, well in before the deadline, it always goes under the radar just because it's not this big spectacle. And a lot of the times, those players have more time to gel with their team, and they just work out.
It seems to work.
Works out sometimes, doesn't work out other times. Didn't really work out for the Jets too well last year.
Did you get to Foley and Monahan?
We got Monahan way ahead of the deadline. Remember, we were in the room with Nick Suzuki.
Oh yeah, and you completely told him to his face how excited you are that one of his best buddies just left him.
I have no regrets.
Regrets? Maybe Max Domi has a few for hitting Barkov. Probably not, because
he's a rat.
He's a rat, and that whole series is filled with rats. And that's the one we're going to move on to because it's an exciting one. It's 2-2 now, and there have been storylines galore in this one. The Leafs up 2-0. They lose Game 3 in a heartbreaker in overtime. Some bad bounces in that game for both teams on goals. 2 off of Morgan Riley specifically, which is just tough. But then Game 4 was just a complete kind of domination from the Panthers, and obviously the Leafs kind of fell behind in the first pretty early on, not being able to play a 5-on-5 early in that game with 4 penalties against them, and they just couldn't create. Biggest stories for the Leafs going into the back half of this series, which is now a best of 3, which they've got home ice for, which is obviously good. Austin Matthews has not scored against the Panthers, and that is the biggest storyline regardless of what he's doing on the defensive end, which has really been impressive. Like, he's held his own in that matchup completely and freeing up William Nylander to be a menace, which he has or had through 2 games in this series. But they're going to need more from him, and they're going to need more from Mitch Marner, who shots on goal-wise got shut out last game as well. So
2 games in a row.
2 games in a row now, yeah. It's this is an interesting one. I don't even know where to start, but maybe we just start with Matthews and Marner because that seems like a natural jumping off point for the Leafs, who are looking to win this all-pivotal Game 5.
like Austin Matthews, 3 goals in his last 20 playoff games.
Yeah.
I don't need to say this. That's not good.
It's not good.
And especially for someone
One of
that
the best goal scorers in the world.
scored 69 goals in 80 plus games a year ago. It's puzzling. We talked a little bit about it last week. Just when I watch him, the fear that he used to impose, I no longer see it. I personally think he's injured.
He's got to be hurt.
As soon as their exit press conference, whether that's in 3 days, whether that's 2 weeks from now, whether that's a month from now, I think we're going to hear that he needs some sort of surgery and that he was dealing with something all season long because he just has not looked the same. That being said, he's still producing at a point per game. He still does a lot of great things defensively. I know that's not what they pay him for, totally. But I feel like Leaf fans in general, like, this is the playoffs. This is the second round. You're playing against the reigning Stanley Cup champions. It is not going to be easy. Now's the time you got to back your guys. And I get it. There's some trauma with seeing past years of your star players not performing. But, like, it's going to be tough. You won the first 2 games in Florida, both by 1 goal. Then you lose game 3, a tough one, again, in overtime. Game 2, yeah, you know what? Maybe the offense wasn't there, but it was only a 2-goal game. They're going to be tough games. They're going to be physical, tough battles. And I just think, like, let's not act like the sky is falling. You have home ice still. You haven't lost a game at home. Like, let's get ready for it. Back your guys. You never know when the goals can come. And I just feel like there's too much pessimism right now in Toronto, living here, hearing all the noise around the city. There's panic.
I mean, you understand why.
No, but you can't be like that this year. You're the higher seed.
I know.
You're coming back home.
From a fan's
act
perspective,
like you're ready to play and have some confidence that you're going to win this series.
From a fan's perspective, though, you understand why.
I get it, but
yes, but like, and I get that every fan base is like this. And I actually just made a TikTok video about this. Man, it is pathetic how much people are turning on Austin Matthews right now. Like, the things that I'm seeing people say about him, like comparing him to a trash can, people are suggesting that he should be getting healthied.
Okay.
What? Like, I'm sorry. That's absolutely insane. And, like, you know what?
Well, they've been doing this with Marner for years, right?
Of course. Yeah. But, like, defensively, you know, I think the reason why the Leafs have been succeeding this year is because Matthews has been playing so well defensively, and they've had their depth guys who have been able to step up, as you said, like freeing the door open for like Nylander to play better because their lines aren't necessarily matched up against the other team's best line all the time. They've been getting depth scoring from like Pacioretty, even like Domi's been contributing, all these guys. I just think that like clearly Matthews is hurt. He's still doing his part defensively, and like, yeah, other guys also need to step up. Like, I don't think Matthews should just be shouldering all of the blame here. And I also want to say this. I don't think we've ever seen 2 fan bases accuse each other's players of trying to injure players from their own team to this degree ever. Like, it's like Panthers fans are just going at Leafs fans next for saying, you're trying to injure all of our guys, and Leafs fans are obviously doing the exact same thing based off of what we've seen. Obviously with Marner, like the high hit on Marner last game, and I think there were a couple other ones that were missed.
Well, now I saw it today on Twitter. Leaf fans want Kachuk suspended because he did a throat slash.
And and Panthers fans want
just
Nye suspended.
Suspend everyone and go Steven Lorentz versus Luosterainen for 60 minutes. Just 1v1.
Did you see the play with Matthew Nyes where Panthers fans was like, are we going to talk about how Matthew Nyes tried to stomp on Mikola's Achilles? I'm like, guys, you're nitpicking here. Like, I don't think it was an intentional play, and I think everyone just needs to chill out a little. There have been some dirty calls for sure. Refs have been doing a bad job the entire playoffs, especially with the kicking motion on Hellebuck.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everyone just needs to chill out a little bit. Okay. Like, about Matthews, about all the penalty calls, like, let's just relax here.
I think it just all started when in game 1, Sam Bennett takes a hard puck to the net, knocks their goalie out, which sounds like, like, I don't think he's coming back this series.
It doesn't
He hasn't
sound
been on
like
the
it.
ice yet. He didn't travel with them to Florida.
Wall was so good last game.
He was.
My goodness,
And I think he
incredible.
owed them that after some unfortunate bounces in game 3. But
It's
yeah,
on the Leafs for not stealing that game, though. Like, Wall was spectacular that game. Yeah, they just couldn't get it done.
Some interesting adjustments made, and it shows, like, if you actually wonder, like, why home ice matters in last matchups and last changes and stuff like that. Florida elected to have the Marchand line out against the Matthews line in games 3 and 4, and it worked out really well for them as far as like those minutes being a little more tilted in Florida's favor, and Marchand and that line having a lot more success in those 2 games than the Barkov line did in Toronto. So home ice back to the Leafs now. You get Matthews in that matchup that you want him in. Again, not producing as much, but you get back to what was making you successful in games 1 and 2 and hope you can steal it. For Florida here, and maybe we go right into why each team can win the Stanley Cup. They showed why in games 3 and 4, how impressive they are, how deep they are.
Specifically game 4.
Yeah, specifically game 4 for sure. But I feel like they're doing this even without some key contributions. Like Matthew Tkachuk has been pretty quiet so far. Carter Verhaeghe finally got going a little bit, but like they have been doing this with mainly like Brad Marchand being the guy so far, which is interesting. Fitting, but shows why they can win the Stanley Cup.
I mean,
they've already won it, so I guess there's no.
We have so much
why,
tape
right?
and so much proof on what makes Florida so good, but it's such a blend of like physicality,
they're bullies,
skill,
man.
yeah,
They're just bullies.
So yeah, it's just they're just always going to be a tough team. When they went down 2-0, I don't think I was all that worried that they would make this a series. I think this series has definitely got some legs to it still. So
100%. Like I think there's a lot of pessimism right now with Leafs Nation. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the game went back to Toronto and the Leafs just lit Bob up. Like who knows? Bob was amazing last game. He's been actually really good the past 2 games, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back to Toronto and like Nylander has 2 goals early or something, and the Panthers are kind of frantic. Like I feel like the Leafs are just like due for an offensive explosion after. Especially after last game. I think for the Leafs to win, obviously, Wall was great. Stolarz being back would be nice, but man, how good is Matthew Knies? Like, talk about a difference maker. Like, this is just a guy who is just someone who, not just the Leafs, I feel like a lot of playoff teams who haven't quite been able to get over the hump have been missing. He's such a unicorn, does literally everything, and he's going to earn himself a bag this offseason.
That'll be a very interesting situation to monitor. Just see, especially with Tavares and Marner and Knies. It's just like...
Man, if the Leafs don't win this year, like they are going to be faced with some very interesting decisions.
I feel like we've said that so many times, though, and they always figure out a way to keep everyone. But
this
year it does feel like... Especially because Tavares had such a good year, and I feel like everyone in Toronto thought they were going to get him on this crazy hometown discount 12 months ago, and now it just feels like he is gonna get a big payday again. So yeah, we'll see. I think sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just don't be surprised next year, Chicago Blackhawks.
Not this again.
Connor Bedard beside Matthew Knies
and
it's
Marner
gonna happen.
Or if you shifted off of Marner to the Blackhawks?
No, because Marner will stay, and then Knies will go to the Blackhawks.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mark my words.
I think if the Leafs are gonna...
Just kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
One reason I can give for why the Leafs are going to win the Cup has nothing to do with any of these heavy hitters, because in that Ottawa series, yeah, they showed up a little bit, but they were getting scoring, especially from the blue line in that Ottawa series, and I think that's going to need to come back again if they're gonna go the distance. Like someone like that Benoit goal in overtime, such an unexpected hero, comes up clutch for them. And all season long, a story with the Leafs was how little scoring they got from their blue line. I think we're going to need to see that in the playoffs if they want to go the distance.
We are also hitting that point though where it's like you're getting deeper into the second round. It's starting to get a little more tiring.
Yeah.
It's a challenge that a lot of these players probably haven't been used to, and we'll see how they deal with it. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of Leafs fans kind of think that their team is down and out, and which is understandable to be scared of the Panthers because they won the Cup last year, and that was a convincing win they had last game. But there's lots of series left.
Anthony Stolarz on the ice today.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Wow.
Just as of 30 minutes ago, headed off after about 30 minutes of working with the goalie coach, Curtis Sanford. So we'll see. They've got the extra day of rest, which is really nice. And I think it'll make for an even more compelling Game 5 on home ice. Let's move on to our final series, Hurricanes and Washington Capitals. Hurricanes fans are going to kill us because we left them for last on this, and we have talked about how boring their series is and things like that.
I think if anything, it should be the Washington fans that are upset because their lack of lack of dog in the fight in this series has pushed it down the list, because I actually think the Hurricanes are playing some great hockey. I think they're one of the best stories in the NHL right now. And I'd be feeling very, very confident because they look phenomenal.
I would too. And I think we kind of talked about this going into the series. I think we were a lot more confident in the Hurricanes winning this than the Capitals. I think Washington kind of, I don't want to say limped into the playoffs, but the run into the playoffs was interesting, where they were kind of playing 500 hockey. Like, they had the division locked up, like Ovi's record, whatever, all that aside. They get Montreal. They make pretty quick work of Montreal, but Carolina is a different beast, and the way they defend, the way they attack, it's just so different than I feel like anything Washington has experienced in a series.
They're also scoring. Like, I feel like every year we always talk about how Carolina doesn't really have that one goal scorer who can kind of take them over the top. Svechnikov, I know he had an empty netter last night. Low-key has 7 goals. I think that's tied for second in the playoffs right now, and that's big. That's something that I feel like they've kind of maybe lacked in recent years, and he's been a complete dog for them. And they have dogs on up front now. Like, they have guys who are contributing offensively, and I love Seth Jarvis. I love Seth Jarvis. He's the man. They're looking very complete right now, and I'm just going to go into a reason why I think that Carolina can win, and I think there are actually a lot of reasons. But Freddie Anderson has just been lights out. I think he has like a 1.47 GAA right now. He's leading he's leading all goalies with a 9.35 save percentage. Like, he has just been dominant. And wouldn't that be an interesting series if he played against his old buddies, the Toronto Maple Leafs, in the next round? But yeah, he has been lights out. And I'm kind of struggling actually to figure out, I guess Tom Wilson has been pretty good for Washington, but I'm not going to name any names. But I was watching the Capitals yesterday, and oh my goodness, the lack of heart and laziness I was seeing from some of these players was almost sickening. It was nuts. I'm like, this team's not going to win if they put that kind of effort in that they put in yesterday. It just wasn't there. And Carolina looks completely dialed. Rod Brind'Amour has this team humming right now. They could for sure go to the Cup, no question. I know it's kind of an easy thing to say, but I think they could beat Toronto or Florida in the next round too, if it happens.
I'm glad you brought up Freddie, because the run that this guy's on right now leads all goalies in every single major category in the playoffs right now. If this guy's name was Sergei Bobrovsky or Igor Shesterkin or Vasilevsky or Jake Ottinger, everyone would be praising this run, and I just feel like it's flying so under the radar. And I get it, because Freddie's had his struggles in the past, especially with the Leafs in the playoffs, but he's just playing at such a high level. And the whole philosophy of Carolina hockey, I feel like, has been nitpicked a little bit. They get a lot of shots, a lot from the perimeter. Z had a couple funny quirks last week about it, but you and I discussed this as well, Luca, because Spencer Carberry talked about how...
It was a great rant.
Yeah, it was a
not
rant about...
rant, but an answer to a question about how they play.
And the quality of shots and how that, you can't always measure that. But to me, Washington, you want to score against Freddie Anderson. They don't have more than 21 shots in a single game through 4 in this series.
It's a testament to the Hurricanes' defense, though.
They finally allowed their first power play goal yesterday, which is crazy, because... When Montreal was playing Washington, every time they got a power play, it's like, oh, well, Ovi's probably going to score a one-timer here. It's really, really impressive the way that they're playing right now, just kind of dominating Washington in every sort of facet of the game.
Well, Carberry's answer was the quality of the shots is always going to be different than the shot totals, for sure. So a number that kind of exemplifies that is that the high danger chances at 5-on-5 so far this series are 40-39 for Carolina. So they're pretty even, but then the scoring chances for are 115-76. So it's not that the quality of the shots, it's the quality of the shots maybe isn't there, but because they attempt so many, you're just giving yourself, it reminds me of just the draft. The more picks you have, the more swings you have, the more shots on goal that you direct at net. Hockey's a funny sport. Bounces happen. Things can happen. And especially when you're on home ice, the fans feed off of that. When you are just firing everything at the net, when you have long offensive zone possessions, that you build on. How far that can take them, we've seen it take them to the conference final a couple times, and then they've been swept in the conference final times against, I don't want to say that they've never faced good teams on their run to the conference finals. That's not what I'm saying, but it more is to say that when they face the Leafs and they face the Panthers, whoever wins that series, if they do end up winning this series, it's going to be presented with a whole different challenge that they haven't used to win the cup yet. So we will see if this kind of strategy, if this style of play gets them over the hump finally, but the proof is kind of in the pudding as far as this is a style that can win. It just hasn't won them it yet, which is, I guess, the frustrating part of hockey in general is you can have that kind of style of play and then run into a series where you can kind of dominate in those areas but still not come out on top. And that feels like that's a very Hurricanes thing. But like you said, major respect to them. They're playing incredibly well. Like, they are dominating this series from top to bottom. And then even in the moments that they haven't, Freddie Anderson has just showed up in a big way. I think reason why Washington could still win the cup is probably their depth, I guess. Like, they have a ton of talent across the lineup. It just hasn't really showed up. PLD, for example, 3 assists in 9 games. Not really a lot going on with him so far.
I obviously love POD, friend of the show, but I'm just going to be candid here. Like, he just, I was just watching him last night, and I'm like, it just wasn't there. Not last night from him. And I'm like, obviously it's a huge trade. He's been amazing all year, but the Washington simply needs him to be better if they're going to come back in this series. Like, it's just bottom line. I think he's really like the X factor.
Mangiapane, 1 goal, 1 assist in 9 playoff games. John Carlson, a bit of a surprise too, just 1 goal and 3 points in 9 games. That guy is playing 24 minutes a night, so you expect a little more from him on the offensive end because that's kind of his calling card. We'll see. We'll see if this one lasts longer than 5 games. I personally don't think it will, and I think the Hurricanes will be the first team to advance to the conference finals. We got one more thing before we get out of here. Don't think, just tweet is back. Goaltending has been a hot topic of the playoffs so far, with many teams needing more than one. Who has been the best netminder of the playoffs? We just mentioned Freddie Anderson, but if it's not him, is there another name that's impressed you so far in the postseason?
Who's taking this one? You got this one, Jess. Freddie's been, like, I just talked about how good Freddie's been, so I feel like I should give another name. I'm gonna go Jake Ottinger. Okay. I think he's just been super steady, and like he's been up against a ton of firepower too. That's the main thing with him. Like McKinnon, 7 goals in 7 games. Like, that's a tough matchup for a goaltender in round 1, and now you're going up against the Winnipeg Jets, who have been scoring a ton of goals all season long. So I think Ottinger, considering the circumstances he's faced, he's looked really good.
Stolarz too has been pretty lights out. He's been great.
Has been indeed. Both good goalies. I think a couple other options if you want to. Like, Logan Thompson has still been pretty darn good. I know game 3 was a bit rough for him, or game 4 rather was a bit rough for him, but still 7.7 goals saved above expected this postseason, which ranks second behind only Freddie Anderson. So pretty good showing from Logan Thompson, and not his fault that the Washington Capitals are in this hole, to say the least. Last one for Don't Think, Just Tweet. The longest game in PWHL history concluded with Catherine Dubois scoring in quadruple overtime for the Montreal Victoire. Is there ever such thing as too long of a hockey game? I don't think so. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. The goalies were dialed, and I feel like we all felt the same way with Columbus, Tampa Bay, where it was just like seeing the minutes played is always so cool when the game kind of ends and gets to that point.
I love the shot totals.
The shot totals are amazing. I love the minute totals because for Montreal especially, they shortened their bench regardless. And Aaron Ambrose, there was a great quote from Montreal's coach about Aaron Ambrose, like, I don't care if she has to play 1,000 minutes or 100 minutes. Like, she's one of our best players. She's going to be out there for 1,000 minutes if that's what it takes to win. So I like that aspect of it. But what do you guys think?
Like, from a viewer's perspective, I think no. Everyone remembers where they were, what they were doing. Probably that Columbus-Tampa game sticks out in our mind, and that happened over the course of an entire day. So for many people, they remember multiple things that they were doing when that game was still going on.
I was at Earl's Polo Park in Winnipeg.
There you go.
Forget it.
Everyone remembers. Yeah. I just feel like I was trying to think, like, is there an alternative way that professional hockey could find a way to end a playoff game? Because when you play 6 periods of hockey, or 7 periods of hockey in this case, and then you have to play another game in the series. Like that, it's just a lot.
How about you short? How about what you could do? Really, I wouldn't do this because I really like 5-on-5. That's just classic. But like you could maybe after each, or maybe after the second overtime, you take away a player off the ice.
Maybe.
And then it becomes 4-on-4. And then after 3, if there's still nothing, you reduce it down to 3-on-3.
Just 3-on-3.
I just think it's
3-on-3 is such
gimmicky.
a bad way to end a playoff game.
Yeah, man, but if you're
it's
talking
just-
about
there's no
alternatives,
There is
like,
no-
There
what
is no
else would you
alternative.
say?
I don't think there is.
The magic
Are we
of
not even
a
going to talk about the
5-on-5
Manitoba Miracle right now, man?
garbage playoff goal too is like it's always a crazy goal from a weird
Well,
angle,
it's like
and then
baseball too, right? Where it's like they have the runner. You wouldn't put the runner on second in extra innings in a baseball playoff.
yeah.
Like I would. I don't care. Go 40 innings. I'd rather see 40
course.
innings of someone trying to win without an advantage, because these are the best players in the world, and this is what they do when everything is on the line. Aaron Ambrose finished with 58 minutes and 9 seconds in that
Almost
game.
the whole game.
Almost an hour of hockey.
Incredible.
Crazy.
Aaron Ambrose, friend of the show, friend of the program. And
Unreal.
speaking of overtime, I just, this is my first time back on the podcast after the Manitoba Miracle. Just want to share my thoughts on that.
Can I get up now, or is it?
It was absolutely incredible.
It looked incredible.
Greatest moment of my life. I don't even care if it was the first. People say, "Oh, first round this, first round that." I've never seen something since we got the team back. I don't think I've ever seen something in Winnipeg ignite the city or bring the city together like what we saw. I was like there with my little brother. It was absolutely insane. And then it was like the most last gasp play. And then like even in the concourse after, everyone was just like in such disbelief, just yelling, "Go Jets, go, go Jets, go." Everyone was so sweaty because we were just like so fired up from what happened. It was literally like 5 minutes straight of cheering after the Perfetti goal. And then just to see Lowry just bury, I will never forget that. That was like literally my greatest sports memory ever. Unbelievable.
Well, we got a lot more memories to go in both the NHL, PWHL playoffs, and we've also got Memorial Cup right around the corner. There's a ton of hockey. I know we didn't get to all of it. I feel like when the conference finals roll around, we should definitely try and hit every league because there's just so much good hockey, and there's also prospects committing to universities like
I saw Malcolm Spence.
going to Michigan, which is exciting. PWHL's got some great series. Minnesota, 1 win away from going back to the Walter Cup final, and Montreal and Ottawa, a great rivalry brewing there. That series shifting to Ottawa now, tied 1-1. A lot of great hockey. And we really appreciate you guys for joining us. If you liked this video, we've got more podcasts coming, hopefully, although the cast of characters around this desk is going to change based on just people going to be everywhere. But we will do our best to get them to you. But if you do, like and subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you very much for watching.